Hey, it's Aaron from GameEnthus.com, and today I'm taking a look at The Deadlies by Paul Saxberg, and this one has been published by Smirk Dagger Games. So, The Deadlies is a card game where you are playing cards that are comprised of the 7 deadly sins, in addition to a purity and halo card. Some 3 to 5 players. It plays in about a half an hour, and according to Smirk Dagger Games, it's rated for about ages 10 and up. The Deadlies. Let's see what's in the box. In the box, I think it's about 52 cards, and the cards are going to be comprised of the 7 deadly sins, in addition to a purity card, a halo card, and a corruption card. It also comes with 6 tokens, which I'm just now realizing there's 6 tokens and not 7. Interesting. There's no token for greed. Go figure. I'll show you how the tokens work in just a second. The sin cards can come with numbers of 1 through 7 on them, so that's why I have 6, 4, 3. Any one of these cards can have 1 through 7. Okay. The object of the game is to get rid of your hand 3 times. Here's how the powers work with the cards. So Sloth is a card that you play in front of you, which would allow you to get rid of a card because you played it in front of you. But if anyone else puts a Sloth card in front of them, you have to take a card. So you're sort of running the risk of, if somebody else has one and plays it, you're gonna have to take a card, which is the opposite of what you're trying to do in the game. Wrath. Wrath forces a player to draw 2 cards from the out of frame deck. If the player you play Wrath on has Wrath, they can play it, and then you have to pick up 2 cards if you don't have a second Wrath to thwart their retort Wrath. If that makes sense. All right, you have Lust. Lust is where you pick another player. Well, it says partner, excuse me. If the person you partner with right then decides to, or you decide to play a Lust card, you both have to draw 3 cards. It gets tricky. All right, we have Pride. You can play it. Ask another player if they have Pride. If they don't have Pride in their hand, they draw a card. If they do, if they can reveal Pride, then that's it. They put that card back in their hand. You got rid of another card. Envy. If you play Envy, you draw 2 cards. If any of the cards you just drew don't have Envy. Gluttony. Gluttony lets you take a random card out of anyone else's hand, or you have to draw 3 cards. Interesting trade-off in a game where you're trying to get rid of your hand. But the thing is, you get to take another turn. And then lastly, we have Greed. So greed is where you're going to deal cards from the deck to other players. If you deal 2 cards and neither one of them are greed, that's it. The players you dealt cards to keep those additional cards. You got rid of at least 1 card. However, if you deal 5 cards without coming across a greed when you're dealing with other players from the deck, you can discard your whole hand, which is one of the goals of the game. When the game begins, the Halo card is going to be out next to the deck. If you play the Purity card allows you to take the Halo card into your hand or from someone else's hand. Like, so if you have Purity, you play it, you can basically get the Halo card from wherever it is except the deck, I guess. If it's been dealt out and is in the discard, I think you can just grab it out of their thing. And lastly, Corruption. Corruption can just mimic any of the 7 suit cards, not Purity though. When the game begins, everybody's going to start off with their token. It doesn't matter which token you have. It's just the numbers on them that matter. So I just picked Sloth, Pride, and Gluttony. So the 6 is going to be kind of lined up with you so that you can look at it and see it, and everyone else can see it too. So you start off with 6 cards in your hand. Once you've gotten rid of all the cards from your hand, you would flip this over to 4. Now your max hand size is 4. Once you've gotten rid of those 4 cards, flip it over to 2. Now your max hand size is 2. And then after that, if you get rid of them all, you win the game. Now, in terms of placement, how you can place cards. So you can place cards according to the numbers on them or the colors. So I could just play this 2 and 4 Lust cards together, also getting rid of 2 cards. I could also play them like this. I could play them as, hey, this Corruption is just pink. I could say it's a pink 3, but I don't have to. You can play according to color or run of numbers. A run can just be 2 numbers. One could be 2 and 3, up to 7. So you could potentially get rid of a whole lot of cards by just dumping them all. Here's the trick though. when you play a card, the card that's on top when you play a series of cards is the one you're activating. So this player will be activating Lust. And let's say they chose player 2. Player 2 has a lot of Lust. Player 1 is hoping to partner with player 2 and hoping that they're not going to play any Lust cards, in which case nobody gets 3 extra cards. But wishful thinking is wishful thinking. So let's say player 1 shows a 6 as at the same time that player 2 showed a 1. So player 2 doesn't have to do anything. Player 1 though has to draw 3 cards. The trust exercise. So player 1 will draw 3 additional cards and be very salty. So now it is player 2's turn. Player 2 is going to play Greed. Yeah, it's a 1 and a 3, doesn't matter, they're both yellow. The one on top is the one you're actually playing. Now I have to deal a minimum of 2 cards, hopefully not deal a Greed, or I can play 5 total and get rid of my whole hand. So they're gonna deal, okay, so there we go. So the first card I actually dealt was Greed, so that means now both of these cards are mine. Let's see what we have here. 3 2s. It's half my hand right there. Okay, so I'm gonna play Pride, so it'll be on top. Those 3 down, and I'm gonna ask player 1, do you have any Pride? They don't have any Pride, so they're gonna have to draw a card. One thing to clarify is you have to have no cards in your hand at the end of your turn. So yes, player 3 got rid of all their cards, so it'll be like, yay, not so fast. They played Wrath on player 1, who had a Wrath, so they have to draw 2 cards. Therefore they have 2 cards in their hand and cannot rotate that. Halo card is kind of nice because it does not have a suit, there's no number or anything. You can play, if you had 8 cards in your hand, if you had 0 through 8, meaning you had the Purity card all the way through Corruption, you could play that on your turn. So that's essentially how the Deadlies plays. And it does take about 20-30 minutes, but it's pretty fun. It's the pendulum swings back and forth. It's interesting. So my thoughts. Things I like. I like the card quality. I think the art's kind of goofy. It's taking something that is pretty serious and making it fun, which everybody might not be into and I can understand. I liked it. We thought it was very fun. We bring it to the table. We brought it pretty regularly to the table since we've had it. It's a fun card game. It's pretty easy to teach people how to play. So people like a game like Uno or something like that are definitely gonna pick up on something like this. And it's a nice little twist. I don't think I've ever played anything where your hand size just changes and things like that. So definitely some unique mechanics to the game. So it was a hit with the kids. The wife liked it, so I liked it. So the Deadlies is a lot of fun. That's the Deadlies by Paul Saxberg, published by good people at Smirk Dagger Games.